When America entered the First World War in 1917, dozens of medical professionals from Atlanta volunteered for duty. Because so many of them were affiliated with Emory University, the group became known as the Emory Unit. In 1918, after several weeks of training, the complement traveled to Blois, France, where they formed a hospital. There they tended the wounded for the remainder and immediately following the war. Ren Davis is grandson to Lieutenant Colonel Edward Davis.
He had been a surgeon in the Spanish-American War as an Army surgeon, and then had retained his military affiliation as a surgeon for the Georgia militia. So when America entered the First World War, the dean of the medical school turned to him and said, basically, on your experience, would you organize the Emory Unit?
Dr. Davis was also co-founder of Davis Fisher Sanatorium, which later became Crawford Long Hospital and today is Emory University Hospital Midtown. Among the dozens of nurses to serve under Davis was 34-year-old Camille Louise O'Brien.
She was an older sister to my grandmother.
Nurse O'Brien would be the only member of the unit to die in France during the deployment. Her story had been largely forgotten until her grandnephew William Cawthon asked local historian Michael Hitt to find a suitable place to house her few remaining belongings he had been storing in his attic.
And Michael took the bone in his teeth and ran with it.
Hitt enlisted the Atlanta History Center to care for her remaining artifacts, like this letter penned by the unit's chief nurse 2 days after O'Brien's death in April 1919 from spinal meningitis.
Dear Miss Harbin, I feel it my duty to write you in regard to the death of your sister Camille O'Brien. On the afternoon of April 2nd, she complained of feeling badly, but as I have always found her unselfish, uncomplaining, and never wanting to put anyone to trouble, she scoffed at the idea of having a doctor see her.
Over to seas they go.
Hitt also discovered that although Camille O'Brien had initially been buried in France, she had later been exhumed and brought back to Atlanta, where she was buried here in Greenwood Cemetery in 1921.
So I assumed, because of the picture that I have of the grave in France, that she was still over there. And I did not know that she was brought back here in 1921 until Michael found out.
That's when I discovered she had no headstone. And with what I already had, I figured, you know, this can't stand. I mean, this has to change.
And change it did. Hitt helped organize this gravesite remembrance 100 years to the day after her death, to honor the nurse who gave so much to serve her patients.
She's a symbol of what we all should strive to be. We put our patients first.
She was one of the most beloved nurses in the unit and very devoted to her work.